Okay, little man, I'm not mad that you woke up. I just prefer that you sleep through the stream. No hard feelings. We're gonna get back at it. He was being super chill. So where was I? And it's funny. I talked about last time doing it with my intuition. Um, and last time I actually like intuitively, so I would see like Eagles Bucks and be like, who do I think is gonna win and by how much? And I uh, I kind of wrote it down, and then so then this time I wrote it down in my journal, and then last time I wrote it in my journal and then translated it to the Google Doc, which is funny because this time I didn't finish because dad life didn't finish updating the Google Doc. So I'm curious to see because some of them, like I wrote Chiefs Bears +7 over under 49. Now I'm having to do it on the spot. So we're going to see how my intuition compares to my intuition last week because we're starting back up with Eagles Bucks and I've got nothing written here. So Eagles Bucks, we all agree the Eagles are going to win. But by how much is the question? The Bucks are a really formidable team. Tom Brady was gone; they fell apart. With Baker Mayfield, they put up a really good fight against the Vikings. So I do think the Eagles win. But the Bucks have some great pieces. Tristan Wirfs going to really help slow down that formidable pass rush led by Jordan Davis in the middle. Josh Sweat on one side and the real haymaker from the Cardinals, Hassan Riddick on the other side. So I would think the Eagles would win by 5. So I go +5 on this one. And there could be, I know it's a defensive match, but there could be more points than you think. There could be some home runs, like a Mike Evans bomb. DeAndre Swift can make some things happen. So I'd say over under 47. One of the ones, I'm fairly confident my guy Josh Allen's going to win, but I go down to 9 because anything can happen in this one. That Commanders defense is incredible. Some of the notes I took was that Chase Young had a really, really good, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to pull it out, lower the camera. I was like, I can remember my notes, right? No, there are some actual things. Montez Sweat, who is, I'm a huge fan of him. He's a super, super athletic dude. When the Raiders traded Khalil Mack for 2 firsts, they got Josh Jacobs and the homeboy that everyone really liked, Jonathan Abram, who hit people really hard, but he's just a bad cover guy. And I was thinking they should have gotten Montez Sweat. He's an Al Davis guy, super jacked, and ran like a 4.4 140 at 6'6 at a shredded 260. Total Julius Peppers vibes. And he has a 79.2 PFF this year across from Chase Young, who has a 76 PFF, which is solid, but coming off a huge injury. And he was supposed to be on a snap count last week, and he played 47 of 66 plays, had that crucial sack, 1.5 sacks total, diving for Russell Wilson as he was going for a first down late in the game in the red zone. So with Chase Young and Montez Sweat, they've got Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen in the middle. That's an absolutely terrifying front four. They added that ball hawking corner late in the draft last year. They've always got good defensive pieces on the Redskins. They've had a fierce defense for years. Sam Howell looks solid. And then, of course, they've got all the playmakers. Antonio Gibson doesn't even get to play, even though he's electric, because Brian Robinson is so good. Scary Terry Dotson, same with Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel and Antonio Gibson could be like huge playmakers for a lot of teams. They don't even get to play for that team. So, that being said, if you follow my podcast, Josh Allen's my favorite player in the league. He can make anything happen. So I do think they're the favorite, but not as much as people would think they are. So I'd say Bills by 4.5. And because the Commanders are a good defensive team, we're going to run the ball and try and keep the ball out of Josh Allen's hands. I don't think it'll be as high scoring as people think, even though the Bills put up 38 points against the Raiders. So I'd say 47, 48 points for the over-under. Steelers, Raiders. Typically, I would think the Raiders suck and the Steelers are incredible, so this would be closer to a shoe-in for me. But, the Steelers have had some injuries. Najee hasn't been great. Deontay Johnson is banged up. And then it makes it tougher for Kenny Pickett really to take that leap without them. And then, Jimmy G is a solid player for the Raiders. Devontae Adams is still there. Josh Jacobs is an absolute animal. Max Crosby's incredible. So, and then they added a really good defensive player in the draft. So Um, I've got the Steelers definitely winning though. I'd say probably by 5 or 6. Gun to my head, I'd say 5.5, and then over under. It should be a lower scoring game. Not the best offenses there, but also not terrific defense outside of Crosby. Bless you. TJ Watt and Minkah Fitzpatrick. I'd say over under 41 or 42. I'd say 42 and bet on the under. Broncos Dolphins, another star-studded defensive game. The Broncos have some great defensive players, and Waddle is out in week 3. I saw some headlines watching baseball stuff, so I saw he's back in week 4. That's good. Not too bad of concussion, but he missed this game. So the notes I'd written was no Waddle, no problem. Tyreek could struggle versus PS2. Patrick Surtain, he joked that was the reason he wanted out of the Chiefs. Didn't want to go against Patrick Surtain twice a year. So what's funny there is that's one of the few games I know anything about, and I know that Tua went 16-16 to start. So, and I actually had written in what I thought the first games I had. So I had Dolphins favored by 4 and over under of 46. So looks like that over under could get shattered with Tua being 16-16. But I was right. No Waddle, no problem. River Craycraft has looked solid. My guy Braxton Berrios has always been a feisty little playmaker. They're just running slots all over the place. Tyreek's running wild. Mostert always runs out of a cannon, and then Devon Achane's going to be added soon. So that is a great, great team. The Broncos are no slouch. They're going to get better and better each week as Judy gets healthier. Russ gets more comfortable with Sean Payton's offense, and that defense, of course, is terrific. But the too much firepower on the Dolphins. Panthers Seahawks is a fun one. Panthers, I'm always going to say Brian Burns and a terrific defense. Jeremy Chin, that whole front four. Matt Ioannidis, Derek Brown. Great stuff there. But the Seahawks, just a little bit too much firepower. I mean, they hung with the Lions, and the Lions beat the Chiefs. So the Seahawks actually beat them in overtime. So I've got Seahawks favored by 4 and the over-under of 42. That's a tough one. The Panthers are tough to bet on because, Bryce Young's been hurt, and then it's tough for the receivers to just come in with Andy Dalton. So who knows exactly what Adam Thielen's going to do, but it actually could be better. Adam Thielen is a veteran with Andy Dalton, who's a veteran. So I'd say over-under around 42. So you can really go whatever you think on that one. But a gun to my head, I would say probably a little over 42 just because the Seahawks defense, I mean, they allowed 31, 37, a big amount of points versus the Lions. The Lions aren't a juggernaut. So Saints-Packers is one I got wrong. That's the only one I know about. I had Saints -3, Packers 46. So, I mean, the Packers have been solid. They blew out the Bears. Jordan Love has been decent, and Christian Watson hadn't played. Did not play in this game. He played in week 4 this week. He's on my fantasy team. I'm a huge Christian Watson fan. So props to Jordan Love for doing better without Christian Watson. But I just didn't think that the Packers had enough firepower to beat a really great defensive team like the Saints, DeMario Davis, Cameron Jordan. And you know what? Technically they didn't because they won on a missed 46-yard field goal. So if they'd made that 46-yard field goal, then the Saints are going home victors. So it's funny, the LinkedIn posts I read said, Jordan Love leads them to victory. But if they, it's really the kicker missed them to victory. But whatever. So I said 46. I was pretty wrong on that over-under. It's a much lower scoring game. But, also, they had 17 points. That's another reason. They had 17 points with Carr, and then Carr goes down, and Jameis couldn't really move him as much. So a lot of asterisks on that win for the Packers. So Falcons-Lions, I had Lions -7. They as I said, they hung with the Seahawks and beat the Chiefs. They're a pretty good squad. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff have really good chemistry. Dan Campbell has all those dudes fired up. But the Falcons are going to get better every week with Ritter meshing with his guys, Bijan and Drake London and Pitts, just like the Chargers. I know Mike Williams just went down, but, you got Big Mike Williams, Donald Parham, and Quentin Johnson, big boys over there. You got Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Bijan over there, some big boys for a long time. So it's never going to be fun playing against the Falcons, but I do have Lions -7 over-under of 48. I think it's quite possible they go over that. I know that the Falcons aren't really ripping off a ton of big plays and they're playing pretty conservatively, and both teams run a lot. But there's also, younger defenses can allow big plays to happen. So I'm pretty confident the Lions are going to take this one. And Titans Browns is interesting. My intuition is certain the Browns are going to win, but I only have them winning by 2 points. But that's because it's going to be a hard fought game. Deshaun Watson hasn't been electric. Nick Chubb, timelines get confused, has that horrendous knee injury. So maybe that's in this game. I don't really know. I just know he gets injured and I didn't get to see it because it was so gruesome. But I traded him, so that worked out. So I think it could be like the Browns are kind of leading for a bit. The Titans, get back into it, but I do think it's going to be the Browns are definitely going to lead the way. Last year in PFF, Myles Garrett was the number one player in football. So he's just an absolute man and a half to deal with. So I got Browns by 2, over under 43. It's going to be a hard fought game. I'd go with under on that one. And then Chargers, Vikings, very tough one to call. As I always say, the Chargers and Cowboys have so much firepower, but anything can happen. Anything can happen. Lo and behold, Mike Williams tears his ACL. And I know that is this week, so I'm not foreseeing that. I just heard that because of fantasy. But they have so many weapons there. They have Josh Palmer ready to take up. When Eckler goes down, they have Josh Kelly ready. If Gerald Everett goes down, they've got Donald Parham. So they've got lots of weapons there. But then again, so do the Vikings. They have KJ Osborne. Should anything happen, the really, really good rookie so far, Jordan Addison. So I do think the Vikings are slight favorites just because they're a little bit more battle-tested and less random. But that Chargers defense is terrific. So I think most people are going to think the Vikings are the favorites, but I'm going to go ahead with the Chargers minus 2.5. It's going to be a shootout. So I'm going to go over-under of 53. And then best for last, Rams-Bengals, Super Bowl rematch from a couple years ago. So tough to call because Bengals have been bad. They got trounced by the Browns, and then they lost a heartbreaker to the Ravens, whereas the Rams absolutely shellacked the Seahawks and then fought pretty hard against the Niners. So the Rams have looked good. Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell, those are 2 names and a half. Tutu and Puka are going to be fun to stay for a while and fun to throw to. So Matt Stafford loves throwing it. I actually just saw something I hadn't realized. Brandon Marshall was asking him, who's your favorite in their prime, Cooper Kupp or Calvin Johnson? And I didn't realize they have the 2 number 1 yardage totals in NFL history, and that's both at the gunslinging arm of Matt Stafford. So Staff's always been my guy. He looks like he's in great form this year. The offensive line, until their left tackle went down last game, was really, really protecting him. So if their left tackle is ready to go, I actually do think the Rams can take the Bengals down, but I don't think they will. I got the Bengals by 2. And with these great quarterbacks, I got a high over-under of 51. So thanks for tuning in, you guys. Sorry it got cut off by this little bundle of sunshine waking up, so made it a fun 2-parter for you. So thanks for tuning in. And whether you like the first part better with Jax or the first part without Jax, or the second part with Jax, thanks again for tuning in. And please comment, like, and then most importantly, send to a friend you think might resonate with Jax and my energy and the sports info. So thanks again, you guys. Have a good one. Say bye, Jackson.